Any tears when you said your goodbye?
No. Like I'm not like super emotional. So obviously.
Breaking news, ladies and gents. Breaking
Courtney,
news.
you won the lottery. Courtney, you're on fire.
Cheers.
Sweet, bruv.
Sweet.
Decent.
So Martin Johnson, Stuart Lancaster, Eddie Jones and Steve Borthwick were all your England coaches. Which one of those got the best out of you?
Eddie, without a doubt. Without a shadow of a doubt. Considering I hadn't been pushing myself up until Eddie got there for a few years, that's obviously going to be a big regret for me, and something that I'll never get back. And
I might cry now. Don't get upset.
Hello, Dream Team. I hope you're well. Welcome to this week's episode of The Good, the Bad and the Rugby, brought to you by our very good friends at Continental Tyres. And today we are down at Northampton Old Scouts, which is a grassroots club that has produced the likes of Steve Thompson and Ben Cohen. But today, Tins, Hask and I have come to see an old boy of these parts, a legend in this territory, such a big legend, in fact, that I understand he's turned on the Christmas lights. Have you reached that big time, Courtney Lawes?
maybe this year, we'll see. I think I've been asked.
Is that right? You are going to, or you have done?
I haven't done it yet.
Right.
But I have been asked.
Is it apparently your fee was too? You're asking too much for a local?
Yeah, well,
It's more than 3 years.
Time is money.
Time is money. Big C. Tell me about it, bro. You know.
Where in Northampton is this, or is this?
Yeah, Northampton Centre, I think. But yeah,
press the button.
A few bits going on. I don't know.
I once turned the lights on in High Wycombe with Frank Bruno.
All right, Harry.
Two sporting legends.
Well, one legend and me.
How are you? Thank you for coming to do this.
Thank you. No worries. Pleasure.
How are tricks? Is it a surreal period for you off the back of All Things Rugby World Cup? Is it like nothing's ever changed? Where are you at with?
Yeah, it's a bit weird. It's a bit weird, like because obviously with the family, all we've ever known is me kind of coming and going. You know, you get back, takes you a month to settle in. A month later, you're gone again. Like, so it's quite nice to be home for good. You know, so it's a bit weird, but I like it.
Have you had time to process the World Cup? Because obviously, we're 2 week post. You played yesterday.
Yeah.
Have you really debriefed in your own mind in terms of how it went, or will you do that at a later date and just concentrate getting back to the Saints?
I don't know. Like, I suppose I didn't play the last game. So I had that kind of week because I knew I wasn't going to play to kind of process what was going on, how I felt about it. Obviously, it's kind of bittersweet. I was quite sad in a lot of ways because I wasn't going to play again. But I was happy in a lot of ways because I'd gotten most everything I wanted to individually out of that campaign and I suppose my England career as a whole. So yeah, it's a bit of a weird period, but I just tried to enjoy my last week in camp, enjoy being around the boys, because that's definitely the main part I'll miss, I reckon.
Any tears when you said your goodbye?
No. Like I'm not like super emotional, so obviously.
Breaking news, ladies and gents. Breaking
Courtney,
news.
you won the lottery. Courtney, you're on fire.
Cheers.
Sweet, bruv.
Sweet.
Decent.
No, yeah, I mean, yeah, I was sad. I did, feel somewhat emotional, but I'm not going to cry about anything. No. I mean, it's just, it's rugby at the end of the day. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But also, I don't think people. So we've been doing the show. We're on tour at the moment, and Northampton. We obviously talking about Northampton players. Talked about you, obviously our friendship, what a legend and what a world class player you are. And we've kind of talked about kind of also the other side of you, which I think we'll come on to because people would look at you and go, right, rugby, obviously. Good-looking lad. There's not a lot of other things going on, but you're so in tune with politics and society and everything else. Do you think that interest and all that has made it easier to go? Actually, I'm just going to step away and not be overly emotional.
Yeah, I think I've always kind of tried to look at the grand scheme of things, and obviously, being able to play rugby is quite a privilege. Like, obviously, not everyone can do it. It's an extremely hard job to do, and it really takes its toll on you. But at the same time, it's not like you're going to war. You're putting your life on the line every day, that kind of stuff. So to the best of your ability.
In all
Just try and
fairness,
enjoy it.
quite a few tens did put their life on the
Yeah.
line when you were in the game.
Yeah, that's very true, actually, yeah.
Jules Peasall, you
Yeah,
were
Jules
saying-
Peasall is still trying to find his head.
Apparently it's still done 316 in Richmond. It's in a bush just
So,
rotting.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Just to go back to the farewell, off the back of what I imagine was quite an emotional rollercoaster of Rugby World Cup. Do you get a handshake and a pat on the bum? Do you get a sort of decanter from the RFU? Do you have some nice words from Steve Borthwick, or do you just pack your bags and walk off into the sunset? What kind of an exit is it off the back of 3 or 4 months of pretty intense?
No, I mean,
together?
there's no kind of party gift or anything like that. But I don't think I was ever expecting anything like that. I mean, I spoke to Steve. We spoke about whether I was going to play in the last game, and I don't want to stand in anyone's way. Through our last hurrah or whatever, like do what you've got to do, kind of thing. And he made a decision to play unders, which was obviously a really good decision. Great player, and look, it was really good to see him back in the team.
And when you get home, off the back of a farewell to, what you've achieved in the game, 82,000 at the Stade de France, do you walk back in? We actually saw your wife and kids in Marseille for the opening game. Do you get given time to decompress, or are you handed the washing up and the lawnmower and a paintbrush and told, right, you're back in, get going?
I mean, generally, when I get home, I like to just get stuck back into it, because the missus has also been at home on her own for the past 2, 3, 4 months with all the kids. So I can't be like, look, I need a week to decompress.
She's a badass business. She's a badass businesswoman as well, isn't she?
Yeah, she does. Yeah, she's got her own business. She obviously looks after all the kids, keeps them alive. So when I get home, I just get stuck back in, and it's not like I don't want to do that. I'm pretty easy going, as you all know anyway. So I just kind of take things in my stride. I don't overly think about it. And as I said, I had that last week to kind of decompress a bit, enjoy my last bit of time with the team. And by the time I got back home, I was ready to. I basically spent that week sorting my life out. So much admin. I've got the testimonial going on this year and stuff like that. So I've been pretty busy.
I was going to ask with the the sort of retirement stuff. How do you feel in yourself at the moment? Do you think did you retire because you don't feel like you could? I know you said about the family, but I know what competitor you are. Like if you've still got it in the tank, we obviously haven't seen. I think we've still got some of your best days to come. Do you feel like that, or do you feel like you've peaked? Do you feel like you could still do a job?
The main reason I am retiring, or pretty much the only reason I'm retiring, is because my kids are now old enough that I can do so much with them. Like I feel like I have to be there. Like I want to be there. Just sit like with all the boys. We all, we go to the park every couple of days, play football. Like they just grow so much when you're able to do stuff with them time and time again. And when like I said, if I'd have got home 2 weeks ago in end of January, I'd be going away again. Yeah. And it's like, even when you get home and you're like, oh, I'm home for a while now, you're there. It takes you a month to get settled back in. You maybe got a month, and then you're away again. So I didn't want to be in that routine anymore. I wanted to get out of that. I wanted to get some proper structure, family structure, and I wanted to, give myself to my kids instead of my country, I guess.
You had a good win yesterday. Are you still feeling like there's a lot of miles in the tank? I mean, if Lions is only 18 months away, would you say, hello, keep an eye on me down here because I've been there and done it? Or
I'm just going to take each season as it comes at this point, to be honest.
Media handbook.
Yeah, exactly. But what is your situation? Have you got another 2 years?
No, I've got 1 year with Saints.
1 year with Saints.
And then, we'll see what happens.
Right. Conversations?
Not yet.
I just saw his phone. He's got the Duolingo app. So
with which language?
I know, right?
There's many on there.
Do you speak Japanese? Or would you ever say any of that?
I did enjoy Japan.
Yeah, it's a wicked place, isn't it?
Yeah, it'd be class.
They'd love Big C down in Japan.
Yeah, I heard Eddie's.
Yeah,
he'll be on there.
He might be better. We don't know. Would you ever do that? Because obviously you've been a Saints man, would you go on and do try something else?
I would definitely. I don't think I would ever go to now. In the French league.
Yeah.
It's like international rugby. It's just like it's brutal out there. So, look, I'm not looking to get any more beaten up, to be honest. If I can sail into sunset with some nice cash in hand, that'd be fantastic. But you know, I
sounds like America.
You're
I'm
on
gonna see.
MLR.
I'm gonna see what
Yeah.
happens.
MLR.
Bit of MLR. Would you go and
And then
do
a bit of coaching role.
I don't know.
Yeah, but you went down real well in Vegas. Remember that? I mean, obviously, you know, you were part of it. That time you walked through that pool party in Vegas and everyone stopped and thought you were an NBA player. And they
That
were
was
like,
before the missus. So
yeah, that was before. Oh, fine. Yeah, fine. Just never know what, never know what's been told. What I'm being told.
Always take the moral high
Yeah,
ground.
that's what I mean. Always professional, of course.
Oh, no, yeah.
No, but you walked around the pool party and everyone was just like, who the fuck is that? Just like big old sea just bowling around, tattooed up. People like, that's a fucking, but like women going, no, like getting the vapours and falling over. So you would go down real well in America.
Yeah, potentially. Like I said, mate, we'll see what happens. I'm not in any kind of negotiations at the minute, but stay fit and we'll see what happens.
So to wind it back to the beginning and to where we are now, I mean, how old were you when you first started playing here? And if you look back now as a young kid to where you are now with all that you've achieved, would you have taken that? Was that always sort of, I've got what it takes?
I started playing here when I was 15-ish. So Northampton School for Boys are literally on the other side of them trees.
Right.
And that's where I actually started playing rugby when I was 13. And then, yeah.
Were you back row? Were you second row?
I started off at 6.
Did you?
Ended up going to the wing.
Wow.
Then second row. And now back to...
What hell that would have been, wing back to second row.
Yeah, it was.
Can I go back in the back row? No, mate.
Yeah, literally. But yeah, so started there, came to here. And then, I mean, yeah, look, I don't think anybody ever expects to kind of go on the journey that they go on in terms of rugby, but I kind of...
Who was it, or when did you get the kind of the tap on the shoulder, which is you've got what it takes if you do X, Y, Z? Did you have a coach who said, actually, Courtney, I think you can go
honestly,
a long way in this game?
My first season at Northampton School for Boys, we had a coach called Norman Barker, and he's passed away now, unfortunately. But he, in the first few months of me playing rugby, made me say that I'm going to play for England to him, which is quite interesting. Obviously, back then I didn't think much of it. I was like, oh, yeah, whatever kind of thing. But no. And then you just get on the path of trying to improve as a player. I always loved playing sports. I played all kind of sports. Football and tennis were my main sports before rugby. And then, yeah, I played everything I could. Loved playing rugby, so you didn't ever have to try and force me to get out there and play and practice. And when you do that, you get better. Which is why, like, when people ask me what should I be doing, it's just enjoy your rugby.
What position were you at football, just out of interest?
I was like midfielder or centre back. Yeah.
All right, none shall pass type thing.
None shall pass, indeed. Yeah.
And so you began your journey in terms of getting into Northampton, and there was only ever one club for you because of where you grew up, I presume, or did you look around a little bit?
Yeah, I guess so. I got scouted when I was about 16 to play for Saints, and then I played all through the junior academy and then into the senior academy. So,
remind me who would have been there as senior players when you came in as a young pup?
Not Bruce Rehana was fullback, was it? In Carl
Bruce Rehana, we had Carlos Spencer, yeah.
Wow. And when you walked into that environment as a 18, 19-year-old, did you just, to the man I born, this is where I'm going to be? Or did you find that sort of... Because you were playing with some pretty big, high-profile players right from the off.
Yeah, but again, I wasn't even into rugby. Like, I still don't watch loads of sports. The only sports I really watch now is like the UFC. So even when I was going into change rooms, you got all these big dogs, and obviously you know who the best players are and who the players that have been around a long time, and the coaches kind of tell you, what the crack is. I still, because I'm not like one of these people that has like idols that you look up to massively. So I just went into work, got my head down, and for whatever reason, going into that kind of environment, I never felt too under pressure. I always just did my own thing. Always wanted to be my own man, my own person. I remember getting a lot of shit for wearing like hoodies under my shirts and stuff because I didn't want to get cold, like big woolly stuff for rugby training. Yeah. And now I'm like, if a kid did that, I'd be ripping him to pieces. Yeah. And I was getting ripped, but I didn't care for whatever reason. I don't know, I just got on with it.
But I think that sums you up, doesn't it? Like, I remember, no, you would never be hurried, never be rushed, everything on your own agenda. Yeah. People would tell you, but you you develop your game. But as a person, you just be very chilled. Like we always joke on that when we've done the tour about the line-out. What's the call? On me, bruv, at the back. Just like walking super casual. They lift him, boom, one hand, boom, off the top. No one gets anywhere near him. It's just every time.
What do you remember of a young Courtney coming into England camp?
Very relaxed, very chilled, quite quiet. Very good athlete, very, very physical. Would be very, just go with the flow, exactly what he says, very go with the flow. But then somebody like bump him by mistake or someone run through touch, you'd see him, you just go, okay. And then they'd be fucking levelled and it would kick off. And then very rarely gets annoyed. But I think when other people around him aren't putting the same effort in, I remember training sessions, he would be quiet, he'd come in and then be like, right, fuck's sake, lads, I've done this, do this. And then it's like a follow me mentality. I think that's kind of fair, isn't it? I think you'd get calm, and then every now and then you would be like, right.
Yeah, I've actually got quite a short fuse for certain things.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can go from being very chilled to fucking let's go quite quickly.
There's just no in between.
There's not much in between. Yeah.
No. I think
I'm a little bit like that.
Were you someone, because a lot of players will say that they live to play for their country. Were you someone who was very excited and emotional about that, or was it just the next step? This was what I was born to do.
Yeah, a bit of both. I do feel incredible honour to serve my country and play for my country, but at the same time, it was that next step, and I was just really excited to get out there and play. I was playing really well for Saints at the time, so I had a lot of confidence. Didn't really feel too nervous in that going into the game, and I just wanted to get off the bench. Did
you think about the week of what your coach said here? Did you think about that at that point, or is that just youth again, and you've thought about it since?
It was. Yeah, it was just kind of as you get a bit older and you mature and you realise, Jesus, he must have had pretty good foresight for a start to think so, or he just did it with everyone. Someone was bound to. But
sheer number. Tell me you're an England player. I'll be an England player. Yeah. I told him you'd be an England player.
but no, like he's a bit of a legend around here anyway. As I said, he worked so hard for so many people, and he really impacted a lot of people's lives. Most rugby players from my age till 25ish will know who he is, because he did so much for the rugby community in Northampton.
Oh, what a great story as well. I'm sure he'd be incredibly proud. So Martin Johnson, Stuart Lancaster, Eddie Jones and Steve Borthwick were all your England coaches. Which one of those got the best out of you?
Eddie, without a doubt, without a shadow of a doubt, because I was I kind of came onto the scene at 20, and as I said, I was really confident. I think, what was I, 21 when I got autumn series player of the series. So I was really, really confident, playing a lot of really good rugby at the time, and then went through a period of a lot of injuries, and then from 23 to 24 was not 25. Wasn't playing my best rugby. Certainly, I'd have good games, don't get me wrong, and I'd have bad games, but I just wasn't consistent at all. Basically stopped ball carrying. I was relying on defence, big hits and whatnot to make an impact in the game, but abandoned my ball carrying a bit.
Your winger ability.
Yeah, pretty much. And it wasn't until Eddie came back in and was like, look, we need it. We need you to ball carry, otherwise you're not in the team. You need to be good in defence. You need to be good at line out, but we also need you to get your ball carrying going again.
That's where you focused on a lot of your footwork. I remember all that posture. That's kind of what I saw, because you carried that into kind of. So Eddie came in late 2015, early 2016, and those little one-on-ones. I remember seeing you doing it on the line, so we used to do it together.
Yeah.
I mean, your footwork got better, mine just pretty average, but you know what I mean. It was interesting how you completely developed that game to the point where you became such an attacking threat.
Yeah, definitely, and it was something that I was actually good at when I was a bit younger, and I just, for whatever reason, lost a lot of confidence in it. And then, I just had to develop that skill again, and I trained it like you said. We trained a lot. We did a lot of extras and stuff like that, and was able to turn my game around.
Eddie loved you as well, didn't he? You just used to call Big C when it just.
Yeah. I was fortunate. He was he was one of the ones. I was one of the ones that I got on really well with him. It's not the same for everyone, obviously, but but no, I enjoyed my time with him.
Why do you think he got the best out of you so much? Obviously, you said he told you to ball carry, but what was it? A little conversation you had with him? Because I think you're always a leader, but I think he really became a real heartbeat of the side then.
Yeah, I think he just he just kept pushing me to get better and better, and then I began to just push myself. It wasn't till he gave me a kick up the ass that I was like, oh, I'm actually wasting a lot of my ability here. And from that point onwards, it wasn't about just getting into teams, which is what I was playing for. Like if I was starting, what do I need to improve kind of thing. It wasn't about that then. It was about, man, I need to be the best player I can be, and I won't be satisfied until I am. And then it goes on to be, you want to be one of the best players in the world. You want to be, positional. And
how do you get on with
overall?
How do you find working with Borthers as well? Because of having, I played with him, you played with him. How did you find that transition as well? Especially because line out is his sort of domain. Was that a good, easy relationship, or was it a bit hard sometimes? Because you're very different characters.
Yeah, we're very different, but I just understand. I understood that. I knew what he wanted from me, and I know. I just say, I really enjoyed my kind of last 3, 4, 5 years at England, because I was one of the players that was relied on, to perform consistently, to give us line out ball, to give us dominant collisions, get us on the front foot. I had a lot of responsibility, but I really enjoyed it.
How did you find making that transition into captain? Was that because if somebody's very laid back, doesn't necessarily, you take responsibility when given to you, but it wasn't your driving force to get that moment to becoming the captain? What was that like? I know you probably didn't cry because, as you said, don't cry or anything. But was that a big moment? You're like, wow, I never expected this. This is a great honour. What were your feelings around it?
Yeah, I mean, it was a bit of a surprise, because at the time, Faz was skipper, and then he got hit with COVID, I think. I don't think he actually had it, but he failed a test, so he can play. That was against Tonga. And although at the time, I think it was Faz skipper, Genji, me, and I think Knowlesy were vice captains. So I did have a good idea that if Faz didn't play, I would probably be skipper. But you never expect somebody not to play, kind of thing. So Faz was out, got the opportunity, and I was surprised, a little bit taken aback, but yeah, super excited.
Do you love a team talk?
I do. If there's something to be said, then I think somebody should say it, and but I don't like to talk for the sake of it, certainly.
Who are the people that, because you always fill the void, don't you? But if you have people around who it's natural to just chat to, or naturally to do the emotive side of it, you let them get on with it. Who are the best for you when you were skips in that point of view?
Genji was, Bab. We get on. Yeah, we get on really well anyway. We've got actually so much in common. It's a bit of a joke. And we roomed together the whole campaign this World Cup. So that was class. That was really good. And he's somebody that is quite a lot like me in the fact that he doesn't speak all the time, but he does lead by example very much. He's obviously a hell of a player, and he's got a good understanding of where the team's at.
Emotional intelligence.
Yeah, exactly. And because everyone respects him and everyone likes him, he's got a lot in common with everyone. He can bring the best out of people, and also people want to follow him. Knowles is similar. So we had when I was skipper, we had Genji for the forwards and myself, obviously, and then we had Knowles in the backs who would.
Could you see? Obviously, we don't know what's going to happen with the team, where they're going to move forward. Do you see someone like Ellis captaining England? Would he get your vote if Owen wasn't available, or they wanted to go in a different direction? Yeah,
definitely. And I think that he'd be really, and he's already shown it, like with the Leicester Prem win, that I think in terms of balance, you can't have two similar people being head coach and skipper. I think you need a bit of a blend, because it can just get too extreme in terms of intensity or whatever kind of drive. If they're too similar, that is. And it's the same way. If I made a joke before. If I was skipper at Saints when Chris Boyd was there, nothing would have got done. Do you know what I mean? So at the same time, you can't have that. You kind of need that balance.
So you can have an Eddie and a you, or you can have a you and I'm trying to think, or you can have a Steve and stuff. But you need an action.
I think so. Yeah, I think you need a good
voice-wise as
blend.
well.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think Genji's in with a decent shot at skipping at some point.
Can I ask you about the Lions? Because for everything that you've achieved for England, what did the Lions mean to you and the achievements that you had there?
That was that. The Lions was a huge achievement for me, to be honest, because it was, as I say, it was at the point where I'd really started to push myself, and I wanted to get the most of myself. And obviously, if you can't get in the Lions, then you're not. Well, it's because you're not a good enough player, basically. At the time, there's a lot of luck that goes into it. Don't get me wrong. But being called into a Lions squad, which is the best of the best in Great Britain, Britain and Ireland, obviously, is such a compliment. It's so humbling. And playing with the quality of player you play there, like it's just. You don't often get a chance to do that.
2021 was a very, very odd tour because of COVID, etc. I imagine it was quite a weird experience. But 2017, who were the guys from other countries that impressed you, challenged you, you learned from, etc.? Did you form? Because you came out of that Lions tour and you've spoken very openly about real deep friendships with Rory Best, etc., etc. Yeah. Did you have similar sort of friendships that developed out there? Yeah,
definitely. I actually. Fresher in my mind is the most recent tour to South Africa, where Hamish and Suthers were like my best mates out there. That I really got on well with them.
Hamish was on tour with us. Hamish is a great man.
Hamish is absolutely class, and Rory's similar, and we had similar families and stuff at the time and whatnot. And no, it's I really got on well with them two specifically. Yeah.
In those days, obviously, you talked about Eddie coming in and kicking up the backside and pushing yourself. Do you have any? You've achieved amazing stuff, but you're obviously a competitive guy. Do you have any regrets? Is there anything you would have done sooner? Do you reckon you'd pushed yourself further? Or is it...
Yeah, no, of course. I think I'll always have regrets, especially considering I hadn't been pushing myself up until Eddie got there for a few years. That's obviously going to be a big regret for me, and something that I'll never get back.
And you might cry now. Don't get upset.
But no, look, I think I've done relatively well considering how much of my career I spent injured as well. That's definitely, if you're going to talk weaknesses, being able to stay on the rugby pitch is certainly my biggest weakness.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's a weakness though. I think that's a compliment to the way you play though. If you're gonna smash people, be able to ball carry, have footwork, and do everything, and be as sort of the dexterity in the line, your body's going to give at some point.
You still got over 100. That's the weird thing about it. You think how much you were injured.
Yeah, I know.
At times, and like surgery and ankle bits and pieces, and knee and stuff, and concussion, whatever it was. You still got over 105 caps, whatever it is. 105 was it 105?
105. Yeah, 105. Yeah.
Not including Lions.
So that's also how much people and head coaches and international coaches relied on you. So it wasn't necessarily all about club form, and that's a sign of a man when they trust you, even when you haven't got loads of game time in there.
No, certainly. Certainly. But
do you like taking compliments?
No.
He's shifted in his chair.
You're like, please shut up.
We were talking about what I regret. I regret not being able to play as much rugby as I could have.
But the flip side of that, in regards to moments that you would sit back now, if we were going to sit around because you're still in it, still playing, it's obviously more to give. You're going to retire to America, maybe Japan, whichever's got the most cash, into the sunset. What are the days you look back on and smile? Because I have moments that I reflect on, but it is a bit of a blur. What about you?
The 3 starts in South Africa were a big one for me.
First test, that must be one of the best games you ever played, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I enjoyed, in terms of rugby-wise, obviously off-the-field stuff was non-existent because it was COVID or whatever, but on the field, that was probably the best rugby I've played the whole time, my whole career, and being able to, because obviously the New Zealand tour was great, and I got myself in the team, and I was on the bench, and that's all well and good. But I want to be a star, you know, and to have had the season I had that season where I literally had three games of rugby before the Lions team was announced.
Were you surprised
that
to get
entire season?
the
Yes,
nod?
I was extremely surprised. I thought I had no chance because I played no rugby, and then to get on that tour, to come back in form, play how I played, and then get nailed down my starting Lions shirt was something.
It must be nice because you talked about the Lions as being the best in that position, and then to play and be the best on that day. That must be like a magical moment.
No, exactly, and that's what drives me. You know, that competitive nature of mine. Just and that's why that will forever be a tour that I cherish.
When you play a game like that, like you played in that first test, how did you? Obviously, you know that things have gone well, but there will always be mistakes and bits and pieces. How did you know that was a special moment? When your phone blew up when you got back and people just calling you up? Because I knew I played well in 2016 against Australia because everyone was nice to me. Everyone was nice to me.
That's when you hit pro cock, isn't it?
Sky was nice to me. People actually wanted to interview me. My phone, everyone was sending really nice things instead of like throw yourself off a bridge. I was like, wow, maybe I did something. And my wife wrote to me going, you know, do you understand what you've just done? And I was like, no. But I wondered, did you have that moment, or were you pretty comfortable, or you just, again, you don't really get too happy, too sad?
No. I was over the moon to have kind of vindicated my, my place on the tour, my place in the starting team. That was my overriding feeling. Was, I proved that Gatlin made the right choice.
Did you hear from people you didn't even know you knew?
I suppose then and recently, like with the 100, because I recently had 100 caps, and then my last, and the World Cup and stuff. So I've had a lot of really nice messages from a lot of people who, some you hear from a lot of some and some that you've not heard from in a good while. But I always make sure that I reply to everyone, because if you're gonna take the time to message me, I'll certainly take the time to message you back.
A couple of quick fire questions. If you could play one game again, what would it be and why? Either because it's an itch you want to scratch, or because it was the day you thought, do you know what, rugby?
Well, obviously, the World Cup final.
Yeah,
that is.
Does that still?
Yeah,
does that still?
I knew it was going to be an itch.
Yeah,
that was.
It's amazing
the
number
obvious one.
of top flight players who it's always the itch they go to rather than the day they conquered the game.
Right.
Does that still burn?
Yeah. No, I mean, yes and no.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, again, we play rugby, and we recently lost to the Saffers, and I was actually surprised because my little ones were upset after the game, more upset than me. So I was like, well, it's actually nice they understand what's going on.
Yeah.
They don't just think you play. It's sport, man. Like,
what do you do when you come off and they are upset? Because obviously with my daughter Bodhi, she's never going to know me as a player. She never really know what I did. I mean, I don't know what I'll be doing by the time she's old enough. Might be in prison, might be dead. Could be DJing around the world? Who knows? But I wonder what it's like when you get that recognition of they know what daddy is and what daddy's done, and they get sad.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's kind of it is nice. It's really nice to be able to take them on your journey with you. And obviously this is the tail end of my journey now, but even the twins now are my youngest, and they're nearly 6. Nell's 10 and Teddy's 8. So, they've been able to witness a good portion of my career. And I just hope that inspires them to whatever they're going to go on and do, to do it to the best of their ability. That's all I hope.
Have they ever come out with anything mad? Like when they've I don't know, they're not understanding quite what's going on and what they think. Any moments like that? Because I mean, kids say the weird, maddest things. They wonder whether
maddest, honesty.
Yeah, honesty. Yeah. Have you had any moments like that? If you don't remember,
no, I don't. They haven't said anything crazy that I can remember anything.
Danny, did you kill that Frenchman or something?
That leads us on, actually. I mean, so the Plisson tackle or the Tulisavaianu tackle, Pick one.
Uh,
You've got a pretty good show reel. As show reels go.
the tri-saber was probably better for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
Do you remember at the time thinking, fucking hell.
Certainly more effort. I mean,
You're too busy breathing at your hoop at that.
yeah, I know. No, I remember that vividly because obviously we're attacking and then they get an intercept and I was on the other side of the breakdown, and I just thought run, to be honest.
The speed of a winger.
I was like, just go, and then you never know what can happen. And often you'll see me track back, and a lot of times you don't make it because.
No.
But you know, Fred brought me enough time to get him. By getting skinned, obviously, but he still brought me enough time. And then I just was in the right place at the right time.
Best roomie in the game?
I enjoyed Hask. Shout out, big Hask there. But that was a good few years ago now, wasn't it? My favourite room has been Genji, definitely. And we've roomed together the past few Six Nations or whatever. But like I said, he's definitely a really close friend of mine.
Yeah,
one of my closest in rugby for sure. So to spend this tournament side by side with him, it's been, you know. We give I give him quite a lot of shit actually.
Oh, really?
About what?
All sorts. All sorts, really.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can say it.
Of
Anyway,
course you can. We edit it out if you don't want to say it.
I'm pretty sure. I want you to ask him about this actually, because you can tell by his body language what he actually thinks, but what he says is a bit different.
Oh, really?
But if you ask him if he could take on a lion barehanded, even if you go, look, do you reckon you could take on a female lion, like a bit smaller than a male?
Yeah.
He'll concede that he can't take on a male lion, but a female, it's like, don't know.
So what you're saying is basically he obviously in front of you he'll go, no, I definitely can't. But his body language is like, fuck yeah, I can. I'm going to smash that. Yeah.
I guarantee he thinks he can take on a lion. I swear to God.
There's only one way to find out, isn't there?
So you're both like
Marwell Zoological Park. Chuck him in.
Yeah, but if only we'd got him in. Where was the
Italy
lion the other day? Italy. If we
and ask him what his League of Legends rank is at the minute as well.
League of Legends?
Yeah.
What's that?
Game.
Yeah.
Sorry, bro. I know. 38 years old now, but, you know.
Yeah, he's a big gamer. He plays League of Legends, yeah.
Right.
And
he's sliding down the rankings.
He's sliding, yeah. So
you used to be a big
gamer,
gamer, but there's a great story when you used to be a gamer, but you used to be part of a gaming crew, didn't you? And then your missus went completely mad because you got a Christmas card to someone you'd never met, part of your gaming team, to your house, and didn't you go mental? You're like handing out your address.
Yeah, I've definitely been stung by something like that before. But yeah, I mean, I game for a long time. I don't really game much anymore.
Sure.
No, I don't have much time for it or whatever.
Yeah,
and especially when your kids are younger. So you know when, so you'll know at the minute you put your kid down at say 7, and there's a good chance you're going to be going upstairs again before you go to bed at 10 or whenever.
Yeah.
So they cause a lot of friction if I'm playing a game like, say, League of Legends. So I don't know how he or Tay or anyone like that gets away with it. When you're playing League of Legends at 7 o'clock because all the kids gone to bed and you're in a game and there's absolutely no way you can leave this game. And the missus is like, the kids are crying, can you go and sort them out? And you're like, no. Do you know what I mean? Sorry, I'm gaming. It brings on a lot of friction. So I had to let it go. Yeah,
probably a good idea. I just wondered, like, paint me a scenario. So Alice is in one bed, you're in the other bed. You're chatting. Will you just roll over and go, right? Do you reckon you can swim faster than the shark? And so how does it like? How does that?
I'm trying to think what I gave him.
What shit would you give me? Is he messy? Is he untidy? You're obviously the king of the room. Like, because does he try and get in on the club sandwich? Is that still your go?
No. We'll very much get on the same orders, Deliveroo or
because Deliveroo changed the game. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Back in the day, the only outlet we had was room service at Penny Hill Park. You were every 30 minutes on the hour. Cheese omelette, apple juice.
How many club sandwiches did I eat?
Well, no, because you do alternate. It would start with the club sandwich, followed by cheese omelette chaser, and then a bowl of crunchy nut cornflakes, right? But obviously, Deliveroo has changed the game now.
Yeah.
Keep it off radar?
Do the coaches try and police it?
No, not at all.
Really?
I mean, there's certain players that I'm sure they'll have a bit more of an eye on. But like me and Genji, because we're players that are relatively lean anyway, and they want us to be heavier rather than lighter. They don't give a crap.
What's your go-to?
Whose room are they monitoring?
Definitely Will Stewart.
Oh yeah,
100%.
he looks like Big Hero 6.
Him and Bev are in the same room, so they're definitely having a good.
Do you remember
got cameras on it.
CCTV?
Cameras on it. Yeah.
What would you be your go-to order? What's your what would be your?
I think our favourite would probably be a Five Guys.
Lovely. What would you order from Five Guys? I've got a very specific
myself,
order.
I've got relatively specific. I normally very often go a cheeseburger, but with an extra patty,
right?
And I have mayo, hot sauce, and gherkins.
So I go the bacon cheeseburger, jalapenos, fresh onions, hot sauce, hot dog, jalapenos, onions, and hot sauce, and then an Oreo milkshake.
If everyone can
No
send
chips.
in their orders,
I was going to
chips.
say, you join us as we celebrate the career of one of England's finest ever international rugby players. But it's good to know that we've got the Five Guys right. Exactly.
There's a little deal for
That's
you.
the one. Built on Five Guys with his friend James Haskell, who likes Five Guys.
Most respected opponent? Is there anyone, I mean, you've been around enough that you've had a few, but is there one where you...
definitely got a few. Look, I think I've not played him loads, but Ali Sabe is definitely he got World Player of the Year this year, didn't he? And he's a player that you kind of look at and go, wow, yeah, he's been so consistent for such a long period of time. One of the best players in the world, if not the best player in the world, for a good number of years now. So I really respect him.
He's so destructive, and he roars. Like I love him. I think everything he does
Great
on the
man.
field, off the field, top man, credible player. But like you hear him go, ha, 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 like,
Yeah. Roland's contact.
Yeah,
and stuff,
screaming.
man.
You're like, fucking hell. He's good and he's mental. Excellent.
Do you keep any of the bits along the way? Have you kept shirts and caps?
Yeah.
Have you got one?
They're
that
all
you
in
say
the
that-
auction now, are they?
Are they?
Yeah, they're testimonial.
I never did a testimonial. So
right.
I literally, when I moved...
You got 15 clubs. You've got to spend 10
When
years
my
in one
parents
club.
moved house, they took out 60 kit bags, or as a kit bag mountain, tons. I gave all the kit, a lot of kit to Matt Hampson. I gave everything away. I kept one shirt from everything, and that's the rest of it. And I never did. The whole point was to keep it all for that.
Yeah.
Never got a testimonial.
Tell us about the testimonial.
Yeah, I mean, it's my testimonial year this year, and we're doing a London dinner on the 5th of December.
Yep.
And then we're doing a Northampton one in Rushden in April. And then we're doing like a fans one, which is not like a big... Obviously, the big dinners are to raise some money for our charities. And then the other one's just a kind of fans event. And then we might be doing something... we might be doing like a 2020 cricket or something like that. But yeah.
Can you turn your arm over? Do you bat middle order?
I'm not great. If cricket's probably my worst sport,
Right.
if I'm quite honest. I'm really good at racket sports. So when we were in France, I got quite good at paddle.
Okay.
I was already pretty good at table tennis. And we had a table tennis table with us pretty much the whole time around. And I actually played some tennis for the first time in a few years with Dave Ribbons, who's a good tennis player. So we had a pretty good little hit out, and it was pretty tough actually. Must have played for about 2 hours, 3 hours, a couple of days in a row.
Very nice.
But I played a lot of paddle, yeah. But cricket is definitely my worst sport because I didn't really play it growing up.
Yeah.
So I can bowl. I'm all right at bowling, and obviously I can field because I can catch. But I'm pretty terrible at batting.
And people go where? CourtneyLawes.com for tickets and to help and to get
we've
involved?
got an Instagram. It's called Holding Court. It's going to be...
See what you've done there.
Yeah. See that? But no, it's going to be... Yeah, it should be a couple of good events.
Are there any tickets still left for any dinners and tables?
There is the Rushden one. All the London ones all sold out now.
Sorry about that.
I know, yeah. And but yeah,
It
if you get on
sounds
there,
like
and
a
then
double day.
Yeah, it's like,
So
so if the Russian one, they will just go to Holding Court and they can get tickets.
on
Nice.
Insta, yeah.
And all the memorabilia is in the auctions, or have you kept a couple of bits for the bar in years to come?
No. Look, there's nothing that I'm auctioning off that I'm just like one of a kind, or that I don't treasure dearly, kind of thing. I'm not selling off all my everything I've made, kind of thing. But we've got some really good prize in there in terms of my shirts, experiences with certain lads, and boots and stuff. And I've got some 100 cap Adidas boots that are going into the auction that custom made, one of a kind. So
That'd be amazing.
stuff like that. Just but no, it's really exciting.
You can auction me off for a date with a bird if you want.
Yeah, I might do. Yeah,
quite funny.
why not? Date with
Five
James Hask.
Yeah, exactly.
Five guys date.
Do you do refunds? So, where you sit now, what's next? I mean, obviously, you've got another year, maybe a trip to Japan, depending on the coin. Do you want to stay involved with the game? Would you have a coach? Do you want to be going to media? Do you want to do any of that sort of thing? Or are you happy with your lot and it's time to do something else?
No, I've had a good think about it. I've got a couple of bits going on in the background. Got property, we've got other ventures going on, which is great. And obviously my missus is doing really well with her business, which is the Mum Club. For any mums out there, probably not that watch this, but anyway.
You'd be surprised.
You'd be surprised, really. Yeah.
More of them tuned in recently, mainly to leave abuse.
Yeah.
But yeah.
ITV hero.
Sorry, man.
It's all right, bro.
And are you still doing the social think tank? Is that something you're involved in? What does that
'cause
involve?
A lot of it is actually getting young people in, from disadvantaged backgrounds into things like sports. That's actually one of their big pushes at the minute. And it's also something I'm really interested in getting rugby pushed into a lot more state schools. One, because it's good. I think it's the kind of foundation of the sport and the hard work and the respect and that kind of stuff that rugby is built on will be really good for a lot of young people from certain parts of the country, and also it'd be great for rugby to get a much more wide variety and better crop
not just
of players
rely on clubs all the time.
Yeah, exactly. And the more kids you can get playing this game, the more competition you've got, the better the people that come out the other side of it.
Yeah,
it's interesting as well because we've talked about it a lot on the tour. Obviously, rugby is one of the only sports that takes all shapes and sizes as well. So there is that level of inclusivity in terms of I don't football or other sports. You might
all
like the body shape to do it,
mentalities as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes kids are just headbangers, aren't they, at the start, and that's sometimes can get misled by certain things, whereas rugby sort of focuses that.
Any of your kids showing any signs of kicking on to maybe be the next little C?
I would be surprised if all of them are pretty good at rugby. Yeah, all the boys, but they all prefer football, which is great.
More money in that.
Yeah, more money in that. Look, but
are they Cobblers fans, or have they managed to?
No, they're Man City.
I knew you were going to say that.
They love
all
Man
support Man City.
I think Teddy's Man City. I think Otto's like Man United.
Wow.
Bad times.
But bad times. But
it's
it's not because they watch the game or anything like that. They just like certain players that play for them or whatever. But yeah, all three of the boys love playing football, which is great. We go and play football all the time. And look, that'll develop. If you're getting better at one sport, you're getting better at other sports at the same time when you're that kind of age. You know what I mean? So
that's the madness of football that we need to get to rugby. Yeah, they're not really fans of the club; they're fans of the people.
Yeah,
and that's something that doesn't happen in rugby.
100%.
This is a total gear change, and I sort of apologise for dropping it in, but I would say that I think
put on some Neil Sedaka
a little bit, but I think your opinions on the game, I think a lot of people want to hear moving forwards. I think you are one of the current players who is not afraid to say exactly what they think. So 2 quick questions. The Tom Curry incident from that semi-final, have you got a view on that? Did you talk to Tom about it? I noticed that he came out and sort of said something, but in doing so, he said, I know what I heard what I heard. Yeah. I'm not changing my view,
and
but that's the end of it.
He said it happened in the audience.
Did you speak to him about that at all? Have you got a view on it?
I did speak to him about it. Because he obviously... Cuz is a really good bloke, but he's also he can struggle with stuff like that sometimes. And I spoke to him the day after, and I just said, "Look, you know what happened, and it's not like you've gone to anyone and been like, I want to, do this and that. You've said to the ref, he's cool with this, and that's that. And essentially, that's all you've got to do. Yeah. You haven't got to say that you've got an opinion about what's happened. You haven't got to say that you feel offended or you feel this way or that way. You just say what's happened, state your case, and then leave it to whoever wants to take it up. And then you don't have to worry about it. Look, he had a game that week as well. They were playing Argentina. So I was like, mate, just park it. You ain't got to say a thing other than what has happened to you, right? But yeah, like.
Do you feel it's been let down?
Yeah, I do, because people know, like, he will know it's said to him. Do you know what I mean? We're not stupid. If someone's running around saying "wit can't" or whatever they're saying has been said, that's completely different to someone looks in your eyes and tells you something. Do you know what I mean? And the fact that it's happened before, we've had incidents with him and other lads in the team and stuff like that. So, look, I don't know what's happened. I wasn't there at the time, didn't see it, didn't even know what was going on until a day later when it all came out or whatever. But I wouldn't be surprised at all if that was the case. Not saying it is, not saying it isn't, but I wouldn't be surprised at all. And regardless, coach has a right to say what has happened.
Yeah. When you said there have been other incidents, is that a worry? Are you seeing more of it, less of it? Or is it just one-offs, it flare up and they're done?
No, just one-offs.
Heat of battle. The last question I sort of, in summing up really, wanted to ask you is about it's quite a big one, but about the state of the game right now. And we've had 3 Premiership clubs that got out of business. There are all sorts of challenges. As someone who is at the very tip of the spear in terms of top-level rugby, do you look at the sport and think, Christ alive, there's a lot to get done here? Do you actually feel within the professional game that actually the product is as good as it has been? Where are you at the moment, looking at the sport at which you are one of the most high-profile players? It's a hot potato, I know. I'm very. You speak very well on this sort of thing.
I think that a lot of things that the fans like to see, we are now trying to get rid of. So handbags, for example, like having scraps on the pitch. Obviously, we don't want to be like throwing punches and battering each other, but there's not a fan on the world that doesn't like a team get in the mixer with each other and have a scrap.
He misses it, doesn't he?
It's also part of the psyche of what that does to the opposition and everything else.
And the fans get into it. Do you know what I mean? Like we had it against who did we play? I think it was Munster last season, and I wasn't playing, so I was in the crowd, and we had a big mix-up. And you should have seen everyone get on their feet, and then for the next 10 minutes, people are flying into each other. Like, that's the kind of stuff that people love. But the minute we've got refs who have got too many rules to follow as it is to have a good game at all, and then they are essentially mumming the players on the pitch and, you know, threatening detention if you misbehave. Do you know what I mean?
It started off for ages, them apologising. They were hella guarding people.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that there's certain. So you look at ice hockey for example, they're not getting rid of the fights because they know that's what the fans want to see now. I'm not saying we want to see fights on the pitch, or I'm not saying that that's going to make the game better, but it's one area where we're actually taking away our product. We're taking away some excitement, and we've also got to find a way to get ball in play higher and stoppages lower.
Because I've turned over to start and watch rugby league, like NRL, like the Panthers and stuff, and State of Origin, because it's high collision, high intensity, scraps, energy, space, ball in play time. Everything you want from a game. Whereas rugby's, we design with the RFU, and say, it's a collision avoidance sport. I was like, I'm not sure which version have you been playing, but it's like, and also people can get injured, people can get hurt. You can protect it, but I think you could make, players' lives, as we talked about, better recovery, better research on injuries, more time off, less games, more powerful tournaments, and build up stars. That's what needs to happen, as opposed to everything else, because you're going to water it down to the point where, that South Africa-England game was fantastic. The South Africa-Ireland game was mega because it was what everyone liked. It was a big, physical, intense game that wasn't ruled by cards, and it's what everyone wanted to see. But
that Portugal-Fiji game was fucking people banging each other, and everyone loved it.
I just think I think again, we've got to remember that the top flight of rugby is very different than the grassroots. We're here at a grassroots club in Northampton where Courtney started. What goes on here and the lessons you learn, the values and where you start a game is very different than the top level of the game. And you've got to separate them. And if you're trying to make everything linked to linear, you're going to go wrong. At the top level, in NFL, they have scraps, they have push, they have dances, they have celebration, they have music, because that's what people want to see. And I think at the top level of the Premiership and international rugby, they are doing exactly what Big C says, watering stuff down, taking away bits from the products to the point where we're so lost, we don't know what we are. Yeah. And we're apologising for everything, apologising for how we are, and trying to pretend that we're not something where we're actually pretty fucking insane men and women running around, smashing shit out of each other, swearing, getting angry, putting our bodies on the line, injuries, collisions, sad moments, great moments, violence, skill. That's the game.
That's the new marketing slogan, right there.
But there is a lot. There's a lot you could do with rugby. Like it is such a good sport. The fact that you can have fans in a stadium that mix and drink and stuff like that, and it could be an incredible product. Like imagine if you did like a North versus South in the Prem, where like the best Northern players play the best Southern players. Then you get in whole regions involved, and can you imagine the Northerners if they said they were going to be playing the Southerners? Like everyone's going to get involved in that kind of stuff. So you could really, make the game a much better product than it is now. But you just got to think outside the box a little bit more.
Three-game series, North versus South, Twickenham, Principality,
obviously
and Murrayfield.
where you're born. So if you're born in the North,
where you're born, not where you play.
Yeah, well, how would they do it in State of Origin?
State of
I love
Origin.
that.
No, we good.
Right, lads, fucking let's go beat these fucking Southern Fairies up. Right, chaps, jolly good game. Let's constant jam at the end. I fucking love that. And then just make it like proper collision music event.
So just on that whole thing, is how did you find the Netflix doco, and do you think it's going to end up being a representation of what we want people to be seeing of the game? Because obviously that's going to come out just before the Six Nations, and I'm just intrigued to see how the boys feel that it's going to come out.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I wasn't actually super involved with it. Like I didn't have much interviews, but in terms of what they were like in camp, is that what you're asking?
Well, I'm saying, were they allowed to be fully in when things go mad? And, from that side, is it going to be a fair reflection of what?
I don't think any team are going to let, like, when shit's hitting the fan, they're going to let Netflix in that room with them. Do you know what I mean?
But that's when they have to, isn't it? Yeah, that's the point at which you really want them in there.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. But yeah.
They didn't make you a star. You weren't a main feature.
He already was. Didn't need it.
Didn't he?
No, yeah, and I think a lot of it is to do with people letting go because Netflix essentially can edit things however they want. So it's gonna. I suppose it'll take a bit of trust.
Yeah, it's massive trust,
isn't it? So, and hopefully after a few years of working with each other, if it can continue that long, then you can get to a stage where they see the work, the real lows and the real highs.
Did you? Did anyone you see suddenly start playing up for the cameras? You were like looking around the room, going, "Fucking hell! You've never done extra training. You always dress scruffily, and you're there going the whole time, going, right, course, we had a really."
Can you
good
imagine
game.
what you'd be like?
Oh my god! It's just oiled up the whole time.
Not one shirt worn the whole
time.
Walking up to you, going,
especially in summer. Of
course, well, listen, tackle technique. I think you could probably go a little bit lower, and they'd be like, James Haskell helps Courtney Lawes. That's what Nick Easter used to do. Couldn't understand why I was standing there talking. Nick Easter would come and pat me on the shoulder and be like, listen, all right, Hash, listen, number 8 pickups, yeah, we need to do that. And Jono would just walk past at the same time, and I'd be like, Minty, you've never fucking tried to help me and spoke to you. He's like, all right, mate, don't worry about that, Hash, don't worry about that.
I tell you, who came out very well of the Amazon one was Lewis Ludlam.
Yeah,
he speaks brilliantly, doesn't he? I mean, those are the kind of characters you want to see more of.
Yeah, definitely. I think just people want to see more of what happens,
authentic,
the ins and outs of it. So yeah, look, long may it continue, and the more publicity we can get for the game, the better.
It's been a really enjoyable hour reflecting on a quite brilliant career, and I hope actually we'd love to do more of this. I mean, I think your opinions on the game, people need to listen to, and we need to get more of it out there. Do you want to do a quick honours? Because everyone who comes on the show gets a bottle of.
So this is our gin, Black Eye Gin. So £1.50 of every bottle sold goes into the Black Eye Players Fund, which is an independent fund.
Black Eye Rugby Fund.
Black Eye Rugby Fund, sorry. And it's an independent fund that will, 3 areas, risk, recovery and research. So try to make the game safer, try to help with recovery for players if they're injured, etc. And research is the best ways of doing it for men and for women across the country. It's out. And you'll love it, mate. It's a good little Mediterranean tonic.
I like
that. Yeah, a bit of slice of orange Mediterranean tonic, or if you're having a martini, little date night, get a babysitter, put a bit of it's cool, isn't it?
It's good, isn't it?
Thanks, mate.
If there's anything we can do around your testimonial as well, we'll send some bottles up for the tables or whatever. We'll do that. Good on you.
Cheers,
Enjoy.
guys. Thank you.
Look after yourself. That is it for this week's show. A quick reminder, we are on tour at the moment, so we've still got shows to come in Southend, Plymouth, Newcastle, Nottingham, Manchester and Bath. Go to cuffandtaylor.com if you fancy getting involved in any of that. That is it for this week's show. It's been an absolute privilege to have an hour at Old Scouts with Courts. What's next today? Back for childcare?
I had my son ill at school, so I had to get him because the missus isn't home at the minute, and I've had to drop him at mum's. Come here. Yeah, it's been a nightmare. It's been a nightmare. So
how life changes in the blink of an eye.
Indeed, mate, indeed. Yeah.
Good on you. Look after yourself. Enjoy the rest of the season.
Thank you
That is it for
much.
this week's show. We are The Good, the Bad and the Rugby, brought to you by our very good friends at Continental Tyres, and this show has been produced by Tom Edwards. See you soon.